Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Today we're going to be going over private pilot ACS. We're going to go over task B, so that's going to be airworthiness requirements. If you guys don't know me, my name is Brandon Wunderlich. I'm waiting on my CFI check right now, so I think I have enough knowledge to let you guys know what to study and how to study it, right? As always, I'll put the FAR regs in the description so you can go look them up yourself. If I said something wrong, correct me, please and thank you. But let's get started. So we're going to start with general, and we're going just straight top to bottom through the ACS. That's what I like to do so we don't get confused, right? General airworthiness, registration and compliance for the airplanes, right? So that's going to be including like the location and expiration dates of required aircraft certifications. So we have an acronym for that. It's called AERO, airworthiness, registration, radio license. Usually you won't say that on a check ride because that just digs you in a hole you don't want to dig into. POH, so that's going to be pilot operating handbook, and weight and balance, right? So all of those are going to be serialized to your aircraft. So if I go grab one from a different aircraft, I can't use it for my aircraft, right? It has to be serialized. Another way you can check the serial number is it's going to be on the empennage of the aircraft, right? The empennage is the tail. It'll be right next to the vertical stabilizer. Locations of the airworthiness, right? Airworthiness and registration, those are going to be in plain sight of occupants. So like in a Piper Archer, they're going to be in the cargo, right? So it's open to the cockpit so everyone can see it. As long as you can see it, you'll be fine. In a Cessna 172, I believe they just tape in the front left. Don't mark me on that, but that's what I think. And it probably changes per owner, right? And we talked about all the other stuff at pilot qualifications last video. Go check that out. We're going A, B, C, D, E. So required inspections, right? Oh, sorry, I skipped around. POH, that has to be serialized as well. That's a big thing. Some people fail to check rides because that serialized, double check, and weight and balance, that's specific to your own plane. Like if you go get a 337 form in the Part 43, so that's like getting a whole new engine, a bigger engine, that will change your weight and balance, so you have to get another weight and balance, right? Oh, sorry, I just had the AC right here. Required inspections and logbook documentations, right? So like you have this, so some people use aviates. I use A1 tape to V. That's the way I learned. That's the way I'm always going to try to teach people, right? So A1 tape, these are going to be required inspections. So you're going to have the annual. You're going to have the 100-hour. Depends what type. Like 100 hours only for higher aircraft. So if you own the plane yourself and you don't rent it out to people, you don't need a 100-hour. You only need that if that's for higher aircraft. And there's also these things called progressives. You don't really need to know those unless you're flying a progressive plane, right? Transponder, right? So the annual is every 12 calendar months. We went over what calendar months is. 100-hour every 100 hours makes sense. You can fly over it by 10 hours, but when you're flying over the 100 to 110, you have to go straight to the place to get it inspected. You can't go fly it to Arizona and then Minnesota because you're at only 7 hours over, and then you're going to go take it and stay under 110, right? And also for 100 hours, you do not need ferry permits, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told you do not need a ferry permit, only for annuals, right? If you're not for hire, you don't need a ferry permit to go over the 100-hour, only for an annual. And then a transponder, right? That's going to be 24 calendar months. That's going to be 2 years at the end of the month. That's inspections. required inspections, ADs, airworthiness directives. So that changes per plane. Like, so you have 3 types of ADs. You're going to have reoccurring. So say reoccurring is you got to go do your wing spar caps every 5,000 hours. It's reoccurring because it's every 5,000 hours. You're going to have emergency. So that means something has happened to a plane, and then that manufacturer will email you, text you. They'll let you know that, yeah, you got to go do this now. It's grounded right now, but you have to go do it now, then you're good to fly, right? And then you have one time. So one time I know is in a Cessna, right? There's going to be a bolt that keeps the seat rail in check. That's a one time. So like I said, we'll recap: reoccurring, emergency, one time, right? And then you can also go check those at FAA.gov, and there's this thing called SAIB, Special Airworthiness Information Bulletin. You do not have to do those. Think of it as like a FAR, those are mandatory, right? AIM, those are the aim is it's like you should do it, you know. SABs are Special Airworthiness Information Bulletins, are something you should do. Yeah, and then PDOSAC altimeter, and I'm just going right down through A1 tape, like I said. So right now we are on P, and then we got E after that, then V. PDOSAC altimeter, 24 calendar months, right? And now that's pretty simple. Then ELT, right? There's 3 things you need to know. This is going to be 91207 in the FAR, right? 91207. 3 things: half its battery life, 1 hour cumulative use. So cumulative use means I use it for five minutes on January 12th, and then on January 15th I use it for 55 minutes. So that's 1 hour cumulative, right? And then the other one is going to be half its battery, and then 12 calendar months, right? So half its battery life, 1 hour cumulative use, and you got to check it every 12 calendar months, right? And now we have VOR. VOR stands for very high frequency omnidirectional range. That's only going to be for IFR, but sometimes in PPL check rides, they will ask about it. You have to check it every 30 days, and when you do it, I use this acronym called DEPS, right? So it's going to be date, air, place, and signature. So the date you did it, the air you had, depends what type of VOR check you do, but it could be up to 6. The place you did it at, so like say you did it at KSUS, right? So you just write Kilo Sierra Uniform Sierra, and then your signature, right? So ADs, airworthiness directive bulletins, we already went over that. How I said they're not mandatory, but they're recommended, right? Oh, purpose and procedures of a special flight permit. I jumped the gun a little bit, talking about that with the annual and the 100-hour. Special flight permit, also known as a ferry permit. You say you want to go overfly. Say it was due at 100 hours and you're at 90, and you're at 100 hours, right? So you know you'll overfly it to get to a place that's like 1 hour away. That's just an example, to get it fixed, right? So you can contact this place called the FSDO, the Flight Standard District Office, and be like, hey, I want a ferry permit, please and thank you, right? Say they grant you that ferry permit. What you have to do from there is you only can take required crew. So you can't take your mom, even though you're going somewhere cool, like maybe you're going to Phoenix, right? You can't take your mom because it's only required crew on a ferry permit / special flight permit, right? They're the same thing. Depends who you ask, they call it different things. Yeah, so I went over all that, and you only can overfly by 10 hours, and they'll ask if everything's okay, and then they'll grant it most likely. Yeah, so owner, operator, and pilot and command responsibilities. So owner operator, they're required for all the inspections, basically everything. And the pilot in command is also responsible for checking all those things, make sure they're in the regs. So it's both their butts that get in trouble if something's out of reg. You know what I mean? Pilot perform preventative maintenance. That's a good question. So that's going to be in part 43 of the AIM. That's going to part 43 of the AIM. That's going to have a whole bunch of things. I think there's like 15 things you can do. You can do oil change. You can change your tire. You can, I think you can even change your brake lines, and you can do some. Oh, you can remove seats and all that. But just when you do that, you're going to have to write that down in the maintenance logbook. Let them know what you did, the date, your signature, and yeah, I believe that's it. I'll have to double check, and if I'm wrong, put me in the comments. Put in the comments, please and thank you, or email me at on my website. I'm almost positive, 98% sure. I don't have my FAR aim on me. Otherwise, I would look it up. Yeah, so performative maintenance. And say you're not comfortable doing the tire. And they're like, well, it's preventive maintenance. You're a private pilot. Oh, sorry. Private pilots can do preventive maintenance. Student pilots cannot. Anything above private pilot, you can. Yeah. Equipment requirements for day VFR and night VFR, including flying with in-op equipment. That brings me to a good point. There's this acronym called atomatal flames, right? So that's going to be for day VFR. For night VFR, that's going to be atomatal flames flaps. Now, I wrote this down for you guys. You also can find this in 91205. So the first one is going to be, just rewind it if you want to copy down how I say it. The first one's going to be altimeter, right? So, like I said, you need altimeter. It's in atomatal flames, 91205. The tachometer. What is a tachometer? So that's going to be your RPM gauge. When you go in a car, on the left side for most cars, I think you'll see your RPM, how it goes 1,000 up to like 10,000. That's what a tachometer is, right? Oil temp gauge. So that's going to be it tells you the amount of the temperature you're at, right? And according to your POH, it'll tell you if it's high or low. Manifold pressure gauge, right? So I don't have that personally in the planes I fly. You might. So those would be in high altitude engine planes. High altitude engine planes is your performance at sea level. You're going to have that same performance at height, right? In NA, aka not naturally aspirated aircrafts, you won't, because you don't have any forced induction. So like if a forced induction is going to be supercharger or turbo, right? So forced induction, so you can't be making up air. You can't be forcing more air into it when it's naturally aspirated. If that makes sense. Yeah, and also that's in 91205. It says altitude engine or turbocharged engine, right? Forced induction. All right, airspeed indicator. That's going to let you know your airspeed. Pretty self-explanatory why you need it. Temp gauge. So temp gauge is going to be for that's going to be for like manifold. That could be for manifold temp gauge. I don't have one. Oil temp gauge. Oh, sorry, oil pressure gauge. That's going to indicate how much pressure you have. If you're too low, that could be catastrophic failure. So that's why you always want to keep an eye on that, right? Fuel gauge. The only time the fuel gauge needs to be correct is going to be when it reads 0. Say like you have 14 gallons in it and it says you're reading 17. That's okay. That's not against your regs. The only time it needs to be correct is when it reads 0. No gas. That's the only time it needs to read 0. Though after that, atomatal flames, we're on L right now. Landing gear indicator. I don't have that. Landing gear indicator means when you're flying a aircraft that has retractable landing gear, it's going to have 3 green dots. Depends what type of plane you fly. If it's down, that's going to be the indicator. Anti-collision lights. So this is 91205 under day VFR. It'll tell you the date why this happened, because most regs are written in blood, right? So you do need anti-collision lights. Anti-collision lights, the way I think of it, is any of the lights that blink. So the beacon, that's anti-collision lights. Strobe lights, those are anti-collision lights. Anything that blinks and are not solid. The green and red, those are position lights because they're solid, right? Anything that blinks, anti-collision lights. There's another thing I see people get wrong a lot. They say magnetic compass. It is magnetic direction indicator, right? Because some people have magnetometers, some people have other things, not a compass. You do not need a compass. You just need a magnetic directional indicator. And then you need your ELT. We went over the pros and cons of that. Most ELTs, you'll have to read your POH. I believe most of them set off at 3 Gs. Yeah, and then you're also going to need seatbelts. So that's going to be for day VFR. We're going to go over to night VFR. Night VFR also includes AMO flames. It's not just flaps. So night VFR is going to be fuses or / breakers. And the thing is with fuses, you're going to need 3 of each kind or 3 of a set. So that means I have 3 different types of fuses in my plane, and one is 5 volts, one is 10 volts, one is 15 volts. I'm going to need 3 of 5 volts, 3 of 10 volts, 3 of 15 volts, or a set that holds every single fuse, right? So, and then the one after that, we're on L right now, right? Landing lights. So landing lights are only for hire. If you don't, it's kind of scary if you don't, if you're just flying a plane without landing lights, but you do not need landing lights. It's only for hire. So that's going to be for compensation or hire, right? Anti-collision lights. This is the only thing that's on AMO flaps twice. That's because under night VFR, under 91205, it'll tell you the date, right? On my commercial pilot check ride, I got asked this, and then I had to go because I didn't remember the date. I think it's 1978 March 11th. I'm probably wrong on that, but I didn't say that. I just double checked. When you're on a check ride, if you're not sure, go to your regs, go to anywhere you can find it, any FAA source, and find it if you're not 100% sure. Right. So, and now we're gonna have position lights. Right, so position lights, pretty self-explanatory. Green's on the right, red's on the left. If it's coming towards you, it'll be opposite, right? And then source of power, so that changes. We have 2 different types of batteries for that, right? Flying with in-op equipment. Way you can check is you're going to go to your POH, look for this thing, and then this is also going to bring me back to over here on the back side of Task B. I like to use this flow, MEL, KOEL, 91205, right? And then TCS. So MEL, minimum equipment list, right? So some planes have it, some planes don't. Look in your POH. Minimum equipment list is, think of a piece of paper and it says minimum equipment list on top. If it's on that piece of paper, you do not need it. So if it says MEL, minimum equipment list, and it says landing lights, you do not need it. A KOEL, aka kinds of equipment lists, it says KOEL on the piece of paper or on your POH, you do need it. Whatever is on that KOEL, you need it, right? So if it says landing lights on your KOEL, you need it, right? And then you obviously can go 91205, make sure that works, right? And then say like you own your own plane and you do not want, you don't want landing lights on your MEL. You can go to the manufacturer and FAA and ask for a updated airworthiness certificate, and they'll most likely grant it to you if it's not for hire. required this like plat cards and that. So plat cards are for limitations basically. So when you go look at your limitations, like one I know is, it says maneuvering speed, the max is 113, and maneuvering speed is at the speed you'll stall before structural damage. So plat cards are for limitations, right? And then the last one on here is standard and special airworthiness certificates. And it's, yeah, so like I said, if you own your own plane and you don't want maybe position lights, or maybe you, for some reason, you don't want landing gear indicator when you need one, you can go to your manufacturer and your FAA and be like, hey, I want to update the airworthiness certificate, and they'll send you a new POH. They'll send you, they'll basically help you if they think it's safe, right, for what you're doing. And yeah, that's all I can think of with that. And now we can go over to risk management. Inoperative equipment discovered prior to flight. So this is a good one, right? So say you find out that your fan doesn't work and it's not plat carded, right? So you're gonna plat card it. Plat card means you get you could get a sticky note and say inop fan, and then you're going to go to the maintenance logbook and say inop fan, date, signature, and then you're also going to make it unusable. So you can pull that breaker, you can pull that fuse, so it's unusable. So those three things, right? And then location and describe airplane airworthiness and registration information. I basically did. You can have a say like you just buy an aircraft. So like temporary airworthiness certifications, those are going to be pink. The normal ones are going to be white. I can give you guys a scenario. Say you pre-flight and you figure out that your propeller has a half an inch nick on it. Are you going to go fly? Type that in the comments. Actually, no, don't do that one. That can change. Say you go and see into your plane to pre-flight, and your flaps aren't working. Same with your brakes. Your brakes aren't working as well. Can you go fly? And yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions, you can email me or comment. You can find my email pretty easily. And thank you guys for watching.